One, good, got it. Good morning, everyone. This is the Carson Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Committee for Thursday, February 24th. And this is, say 11:00, what time do I have? 11:04. I'm going to call the meeting to order. We'll do a little roll call, but we got a number of people. We have like 14 people. And I'm glad to see all of you here. I'm Mike Stewart, Chair of the Economic Development Committee. I have a board here, Lena Whitaker, who is the Chair of Special Events and on the Executive Board. And we also have our President of the Chamber, Barry Waite. And we also have our Executive Assistant for the Chamber, Amy Leong, who is here. Raise your hand, Amy. There we are. We're here to present some information and facts. Basically, we want to inspire our business community to greater heights, and we aspire to have this community go for advancement. Our guest today is Glenn Acosta. He's the Senior Engineer of the Los Angeles County Sanitation District. He's going to present an update on the Clear Water Project. This project will protect local waterways, listen to this, by addressing aging sewer infrastructure, as we've had just recently some problems with sewer system. A new 7-mile tunnel is being built to convey cleaned water. They're going to clean the water from our plant in Carson. He's going to show you pictures of that, to our existing ocean outfalls at Royal Palms Beach. That's in San Pedro, okay? Basically, they're going to clear this wastewater and ship it out. They're digging with 2 tunnels, 21 feet wide, underneath the ground, through Carson and out to San Pedro. Glenn, are you ready to kind of give us some more information on that?
I am. So let me share my screen and hopefully everyone can see that.
It is live.
Okay, so thank you everyone for having me here today. I'm here to talk about an important infrastructure project. It's the largest construction project that our agency has undertaken in its history, almost 100 years. And it's a very important project for the county. And so I thought what I would start off with is a little bit about who we are, why we're doing the project, and then get into the construction itself. Good. And where we are. So our agency, the LA County Sanitation Districts, manages the sewage for over half the population in LA County, 5.6 million people. Our service area goes from the South Bay all the way to the Antelope Valley. And we do that by directing the sewage, or what we call wastewater, to our 11 wastewater treatment plants, shown here in the green pins. The largest plant that we have is in Carson, called the Joint Water Pollution Control Plant. It's by the 110 freeway. And it is the hub of the main sewer system that serves the southern half of the county. Essentially, wastewater comes into the plant, and in less than half a day, it gets turned into clean water, and that clean water goes out to the ocean through 2 tunnels that were built 60 and 80 years ago. And so the Clearwater Project is about addressing this aging infrastructure by building a brand new tunnel. So if you were to look at the alignment of the existing tunnels shown here in the blue line, it's essentially a straight shot from our plant in Carson to Royal Palms Beach in San Pedro. However, the new tunnel shown here in the green squiggly line, is not so much that way. It's because when we were doing outreach in the community back in 2006 and beyond, folks in the community wanted us not to go underneath their homes. And so we made the decision to stay underneath the streets and the public right-of-ways. And that's why you see this long squiggly line. So the new tunnel is going to be 7 miles long. It'll be 18 feet as the inside diameter, and it'll take 7 years to build from start to finish. And we started construction in 2019. So if you were to look at the alignment from an aerial point of view, here it is in the yellow line. As we go up underneath Harbor Regional Park, down Gaffey, up Capitol, and then Western, pretty much until we get to the beach. And so when we get to the beach, we will be beneath the White Point Preserve, and then we're going to go underneath the bluff, and we'll be 30 feet below the surface. And there we're going to connect to this underground structure that we have right now. It's called a manifold structure. And so we're going to connect to this structure. So this manifold structure right now connects to 2 old tunnels, and it directs the flow to our ocean outfalls. And we have 4 ocean outfalls that follow the bottom of the ocean. And they're essentially like a large pipe, where at the end of the pipe, you have these holes or ports, and that's where the clean water comes out. So they extend about 1.5 miles offshore and about 200 feet below the water surface. So if you were, before I back up. So in order to build a tunnel nowadays, where you have buildings, where you have homes and lots of streets above, without disturbing anything, you use a machine called a tunnel boring machine. And so this is what it looks like. And they're used throughout the world to build tunnels, whether it's a subway, whether it's tunnels for water, for wastewater. And essentially at the front, you have a cutting head that acts like a cheese grater. So it cuts away the rock and soil, and it pushes all that to the back. And attached to this tunneling machine is this long trailing gear. And think of it like a mini city supporting the operation. So pretty much everything you need for the workers to be down there to build the tunnel, that's what we have there. And in our case, this trailing gear is almost 2.5 football fields long. And right behind the front is an area called the articulating arm. And I'll show you how that works momentarily. So the way this machine works is it goes about 5 feet and it stops. And then we start putting up the walls of the tunnel. And once you complete a ring, it pushes off that ring, goes another 5 feet, and you build some more walls. So essentially this machine builds a tunnel as it digs. And that's one of the beauty of these kind of machines, because it's very controlled and you're building something as you go. So our tunnel boring machine is shown here. It's called Rachel. And so we had this contest where students across LA County submitted names, and the name that was chosen was Rachel, after Rachel Carson, who was an environmental pioneer that wrote a book many years ago. And so as you can see, it's a pretty large machine. It's about 2 stories tall, 21.5 feet. And once it's assembled, it's about 2.5 football fields long. And so we had this ceremony back in April of last year where we revealed the machine to the public. And as you can see on the side, there's artwork there from students who also won a contest for artwork. So in order to get this machine below ground, we needed to build a shaft so that we can do that. And so we have this lot that we own next to our plant in Carson by the 110 freeway. And so that's where we build a shaft to lower the machine. And so if you were to fly over that lot back in November of 2020, you would see all the work that was involved in building the shaft. And so this shaft is about 60 feet wide, longer than a school bus, and it's 135 feet deep. So you can stack 3 school buses and it's still not enough. And so that's what was built, and it's been done already. And so the tunnel boring machine, or we call TBM, arrived in sections. It was built in Germany. It was shipped over by ship and went to the LA harbor. And it took 90 trucks to bring the entire machine from the port all the way down to our lot. So last summer, we began lowering the front section of the tunnel boring machine and started assembling it below on the bottom of the shaft. And so once the front end was assembled, we inserted it into this short starter tunnel, and so to get ready for tunneling. So once we inserted it, we started testing it, making sure everything was working fine, and then we began tunneling. So because the trailing gear is over 700 feet long, we had to lower it in sections. And so here's a gantry of that being lowered. So as the machine advances, we start adding the trailing gear as it goes. So in October of last year, we started building the tunnel, and this is the first few feet of tunnel that were built. And here's the machine. So since then, we've built about 700 feet of tunnel thus far. And so back then we were lowering the tunnel wall sections below, and they would put the sections on a cart and then take it to the front of the machine. But since we have 7 miles of tunnel, it's not really efficient to have the guys push carts up and down the tunnel, right? So we have this locomotive that we lowered into the shaft. And so that locomotive will be loaded with the wall segments and brought back and forth from the shaft to where the machine is at. And so all the soil that's excavated from tunneling will come out of that shaft in Carson. All the personnel, all the wall segments will go into the same shaft. So what happens is the wall segments are brought forward by the locomotive. It's taken to near the front of the machine. And so the wall segments are put on a feeder, and then that feeder slowly makes its way to the articulating arm. And there's an operator there that picks up the wall segments and puts it up and starts making that ring. So there are, our tunnel boring machine is called a slurry machine because in order to balance the forces that the machine sees underground, we put water and cement or bentonite slurry behind the cutting head. And so that balances the pressure that what it sees on the outside. And so that slurry goes in, it gets pumped in, and then it gets pumped out from the shaft and taken to this slurry treatment plant that we have on site. And what it does is it cleans up the slurry, removes all the rock and soil, and then it gets recycled back to the machine. So it gets pumped back down the shaft and all the way to where the machine is at. So we're recycling the slurry. So, we have 7 miles of tunneling. And so you have these cutting discs in the front that cut away the rock and soil. So at some point they wear out. And so they need to be replaced or repaired. So how do you do that when the entire route is beneath the water table? Well, what we do is at certain points along the alignment, we inject this concrete grout below ground, and we create this big block of concrete so that when the machine gets there, it bores partway through and it stops. And so now you have a dry, clean environment for the workers to access the disc and make the repairs. And so we built 3 different maintenance blocks, as we call it. And so here's the yellow line shows the alignment of the tunnel. And so the first maintenance block is at the north end of Harbor Regional Park. The second block was created at the south end. And the third maintenance block was put in on Gaffey. So when you go inside one of these tunnel boring machines and you go to the control room, you'll see that pretty much everything that's important to be monitored is monitored. And that basically recreates a nice, safe, and controlled way of tunneling. But we also, because we're engineers and we've done tunneling, we have tunneling experts that we have on our team. We also, as an additional safeguard, put in sensors at street level to monitor for any noise or vibration. And we also have monitors that attach to the gas lines, the water lines, to make sure that they don't move. And we also have sensors that go all the way down to where the machine is at. So it's all these things are monitored real time. And they're actually, all these signals are sent to a phone app and the TBM itself, so that you can see real time what's occurring, and you can make any adjustments to the machine that's needed. And so it's a very sophisticated process for building tunnels nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
So we install these sensors, and here's the installation that occurred on Gaffey. And so for the deeper sensors, we use a small drill rig. For the ones near the surface, we can actually vacuum out the pavement and put those sensors in there that way. So where are we today? So the machine is about to go on Figueroa. And this summer, it should be at the north end of Harbor Regional Park. And by later that year, or later this year, we should reach the south end of the park. So with that, I will answer any questions.
Yeah, I'm going to open up the questions, but I'm going to ask one basic question. The total cost, estimated cost of this project is?
About $700 million. 700 million. 700 million.
700 million or 700 million?
$700 million.
That's right, almost $1 billion. Okay. And in your outreach to the community, I was aware of that, but I didn't go to those meetings. But I think you said your sensors will protect and not interrupt the livelihood and the lifestyle of the people, because you're going deep and you're going around homes and you're going around waterworks. What are your adjustments? This is my question. For earthquakes, we've been having a few earthquakes here. I noticed that the last one was 3.12. How do you, in your construction process, plan around and modify any problems with earthquakes in this area?
So the walls that are put in are pretty thick, and so they're able to withstand, movement once they're joined together. And through the earthquake faults, the Palos Verdes fault, we're going to take some additional measures, and we're going to put in a steel liner inside the tunnel. And so even if the outside concrete walls move a little bit, the steel liner inside will keep everything intact. And so it's engineered to today's seismic standards.
We ran into that in the city of Los Angeles when we had the development with the MTA system through downtown Los Angeles during the Bradley administration. There was careful statements and engineering, both by Public Works, Bureau of Engineering in the city, the county, your group, many of the people were all in these meetings to make sure we watched out for those issues. when we went down the Wilshire corridor, okay, going to the west side, uh, the city and the county ran into certain issues on the alluvial soil under Wilshire Boulevard. Therefore, we decided to go deeper more and cost more time. I think you guys planned, you learned from that. So you plan around all of those issues that was learned in this community through doing the MTA rapid transit system, the subways. Is that correct?
Yeah, so both Metro, who was working on that project, and us, we learned over the years, but more importantly, the technology has advanced dramatically since that project.
Yes. Yeah.
So the machines nowadays are called earth balance machines. So you have the outside pressure hitting on the machine, and then you have the inside pressure kept the same so that there's no void for soil to go into. And so that's one of the beauties of these machines. And the other thing is that everything is being monitored from beginning to end to ensure that there's no movement. And so once it's below ground, you won't see it, you won't hear it, and you won't feel it.
I like the slurry that you're putting in front and pumping it out. That kind of gives us, as the earth settles, that kind of keeps pressure to keep it from having problems. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I learned that when we were in my role in the city of Los Angeles. That was a problem, very much so. All right, any other questions, please?
I have a question. So Glenn, how far below Harbor Lake will the drilling be? And how close are you to the water table at that point?
So the entire route is below the water table. We start off at Carson, say roughly about 80 feet below the surface. And so we stay about that depth underneath the Harbor Regional Park. And then when we go up Gaffey, it gets a little bit more shallow, probably in the 60 feet range. But once we make the turn on Capitol and go underneath the PV Peninsula, go very deep because the above ground topography is high. And so we're about 460 feet deep.
Wow.
At some point. So we're pretty deep at that stage.
So then I was wondering if you were going to be staying higher, since the road really goes up, if you were going to have to pressurize the system. But is that an issue as far as when it's completed? Will it be mostly downhill?
So the entire alignment is somewhat, the tunnel is going to be somewhat flat, maybe inclined back towards Carson. So that if we need to empty out the tunnel, we just put pumps down and empty out the tunnel. And really what makes the tunnel work is that the elevation in Carson is higher than the ocean. And so, as you know, water flows downhill.
Flows downhill, yeah.
Right, and so that's why it goes towards the ocean, and it works well that way. But in terms of the elevation and the pressure, so the tunnel is going to be at its alignment. It's what happens above it, that topography that makes a difference. And so we know from having gone through that area for the existing tunnels that there's a lot of pressure from above to try to squeeze in whatever hole you make. But the machine is built to have enough force to keep going.
And then I noticed near the end where you're cutting through White Point Preserve, just the little corner of it there, what's the depth at that point?
So we're below the bluff, about 30 feet. So we never touch the bluff. And because I know there are a lot of folks in the local area always concerned about landslides, but we don't touch the bluff. And the geology rather, at that site is favorable and very different than White Point. And so we've done all the investigations. We've shown it to the local community, so they're pretty comfortable with the geology. And when we get to Royal Palms Beach, we're going to build a smaller shaft ahead of time so that we can pull out the front of the machine. And then that long trailing gear that I showed you, that
Mhm.
gets pulled all the way back to Carson and taken out the shaft there.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that part. That could be a problem if at the end of your tunnel, you have a big piece of equipment stuck there forever.
Yeah, which is why we remove the front head, and then the rest gets taken back to Carson and pulled out that way.
What
Right.
about the aging pipes, tunnels that we had for 60 and 80 years? Now, my understanding, there were two.
Yes,
This is one tunnel, correct?
correct.
So what's gonna happen with these old tunnels? Are they gonna be sheared up? Are they gonna be supported? What is your environmental impact of those old tunnels will be?
So once we put the new tunnel into service, we'll take the old ones out of service, and we're going to have a pretty thorough inspection to see what their condition is, what repairs need to be done, and it'll be a separate project that our board needs to approve. And it's a different undertaking, but the plan is to do the assessment, bring the price tag to our board, and then they decide, how we want to approach it. So
I don't want to estimate of that, but we're talking now over $1 billion of money being spent in infrastructure throughout our area. When you got the cleanup of the old tunnels with the new tunnel going in, is that correct?
yeah, so if you let's just say they rehab the old ones, yeah, so the price tag will be, fairly high, and I'm sure altogether.
Don't give us specifics, but it's in that general area.
Yeah, so if you do both projects, it's probably in that ballpark. Yeah. But keep in mind, this tunnel is not just important for Carson. It is important for the entire southern half of the county. And the reason is this: the other 10 the other plants that we have upstream in the county, they remove the solid material from the sewage and they put it back into the sewer system so that it flows all the way down to our plant in Carson, so that all the solids get handled in one place for economies of scale. And so whether you live in Pasadena, in Monrovia, Pomona, this tunnel is important to you, because if something happens to the existing ones, it's going to create an emergency situation that we don't want. So it's a critical project. It's important for the infrastructure, for businesses, for residents. And so, which is why we're trying to be proactive and build the tunnel now.
I know that's been an issue for a long time, the fact that there has not been a backup. There's just been the two tunnels. And as I recall from years ago, they were afraid to close them down even for testing, fearing that the reduction in pressure from within might be enough to make them collapse. And since there was no backup, they just had to deal with it. So, wow.
Wow.
Again, Glenn, when is the expectation of completion?
So we're hoping to complete the project in 2027. So this is 2022, so 5 years from now.
I think in 2027, that's the advanced future, and we're supposed to have flying cars. Pretty sure of that.
2027. Okay.
Yes.
Are there any other questions? This is important because I know you got a crew there. I know that we know the cost of that. And I know that you have a 30-30 plan now for hiring people locally, working with people locally. Could you explain that?
Yeah, so before the project started, we met with a union of various trades. And so we developed a project labor agreement where
Okay.
in there we had hiring goals where 30% of the labor force in our project would be local residents, local hires. And then another 10% of that would be transitional workers, folks that came out of prisons or looking, or military vets. And so so when you add those together, 40%, But we've exceeded that thus far. We're over, 40% on local hires, and we're over 12% on transitional workers and veterans. So, in terms of the number of people in the tunnel, we have about 70 people working on 3 shifts. They're very specialized labor force. So
I know. I got a chance years and years ago to go through that tunnel through downtown with the MTA during the Bradley administration to take a look at that. And as you know, as a result of the earthquake in 92, 94, we had to completely move out of the city hall itself and made City Hall East the city hall. And we had to put in isolators under our city hall at the city of Los Angeles. I think you're aware of that, and complete upgrades of many of the city facilities. So I'm glad that you're proactive on this, LA County. I appreciate that how you have moved forward and are moving forward right now. Are there any other questions for Glenn?
Yeah, I had one. Hi, I'm Ray Aldridge. I'm the chairperson for the City of Carson Economic Development Commission. And I wanted to ask now, in putting in the tunnel, we're talking about this one being a separate tunnel. You showed the manifold before of the 2 other tunnels going into that manifold. So this one will not be connected to that manifold. This will just go straight out into the ocean. Is that correct?
No, it'll be connected to that
It will be.
manifold. However, it'll have to be reconfigured. And so it'll take about 2 years of work to reconfigure it, because they're live, it's a live flow.
Right.
So you have to put a bypass in. It's complicated work, and it'll take 2 years to do the entire reconfiguration.
Okay. And have there been any estimates on, I know you haven't had a chance to go down and inspect the old 2 tunnels, but you would assume, it would be assumed that having the 3 tunnels would be more efficient than just putting one the same size as the other 2, because the other 2 are 12 and 6 and 12. So that gives you 18 feet. And now the new one is 18 feet. So putting in just an 18-footer to replace the 18 feet that you already have, it would seem like it would be more efficient to, if it's not cost prohibitive, to have all 3 going. So you'd have 36 feet of tunnel of sewage being pumped out. Yeah.
Well, the tunnel was designed so that it could accommodate the growth of the county through the year 2050. And as you probably know, when it rains across the county, the stormwater gets into our sewer system, and the flows to the plant and into the tunnels can more than double. So this plant, the tunnels were sized for the big storms that we can more or less foresee over the next 30, 40 years. And so it can handle a lot of flow. But with the other tunnels, you do have a little extra capacity there if you need it. So
okay. So what you're saying is the 18 feet should, if you did close down the other 2, the 18 feet should suffice to handle what we currently have in up into the year 2050.
Correct.
Okay.
And with water conservation being practiced nowadays, the flows into the plant in Carson have come down. When I used to work there, we routinely had over 330 million gallons per day come in of sewage. Now it's down to 260 on average. So that gives us a little more buffer anyway. So yeah, the 18-foot tunnel that we're building is more than sufficient.
And then you subtract from that the amount that will be going to the new MWD project. So that's another point in the right direction. I don't think most people realize how much less water we use than we did 50 years ago. It's pretty stunning.
Right, even though our bills keep going up.
Well, even though the population is going up.
I think they're trying to pay for all that digging.
Right. we got a $700 million tab.
And then
to take
another
care of.
300, maybe 400 million later. That's $1 billion coming out of
Okay,
Southern California
okay.
on infrastructure. I made that little point. I didn't want to tie him down to a number. Okay?
Yeah.
He didn't. I said just in the area. But it's
Yeah.
$1 billion project,
Yeah.
counting the other two lines. If they bring them up to code as a backup, that's another 400 million, Mr. Aldridge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But so that you know,
Yeah.
but so that you know, I mean, even though the price tag is $700 million, that cost is spread over the 5 million people that use that
Right.
sewer system
Right.
over
Correct.
20 years.
5.6 million people, yeah.
Yeah, and so the average increase to the resident is about $5 per year. So it's a very reasonable number for ensuring reliable infrastructure.
Future meetings, remember to say that, okay? We got to tell them the truth. This is huge. I mean, we got a lot of infrastructure going through this community based here, okay? And through Southern California. We're going to be here, regardless of what happened all over the world. California is going to be here. We're going to make sure of that. That's why we're building for the future here in this city. Any other questions from any of our members? Because I'm going to go on to Barry's report. Okay.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. Thank you, everyone, for
And
letting.
stay on, Glenn. I want
Thank
you
you
to
for the
hear what
presentation.
Barry is saying.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Barry, we would like to hear about a report on future initiatives of the Carson Chamber. Also, what we're trying to do to deal with infrastructure and economic development in the future, and other points. As I know, we have a new city manager, and I'm going to ask. I know that the chair of that effort to welcome him will be Lena Whitaker, as I know. But yeah, that the reception for the new city manager. Yeah, I know. Anyway, Barry, go ahead.
So
I didn't hear you, Lena. Put it on. I didn't hear you, Lena.
I thought that was going to be a surprise. So my stars. Okay. All right, no problem. Okay,
Okay, I won't mention it anymore. Go ahead.
Right, okay.
And don't worry, we only have a few hundred people who watch these after the fact. So don't worry about it. Nobody's gonna hear about it. So yeah, we've got a lot of things going on. And I wanted to mention that the Sanitation Districts is now a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So Glenn, thank you for helping that happen. As well, MWD has joined the Chamber of Commerce. And so we had West Basin Water, which is headquartered here in Carson, is a member of the Chamber. And then Golden State Water and Cal Water, both of which are the retail water purveyors in Carson, are Chairman Circle members of the Chamber of Carson, which makes a lot of sense because there's a lot of activity they have going on in this community. So I just wanted to mention a couple of upcoming presentations that we're going to have. We will have the Economic Development Deputy from, now I got to find her card, from Holly Mitchell's office. Where did I put her card? I always love it when I do this. Anyway, we will have the Chief Deputy for Economic Development is going to be here probably next month. We'll do that. And also we'll have a representative from Barbara Levine from the LAEDC, which Carson has participated in for a very long time. So they're a good partner of ours to hear about the kinds of things that they need us to know, and then right back at them, what do we need them to know? So really excited about that. We are going to have a presentation by EDD about how to use the workers, the disability portion of that, because most people don't realize these are benefits they've been paying for and have access to, and they don't know how to do that. And most businesses don't know how to access those programs. So that's the point of that one. We'll also have a presentation by a group. Looks like we're going to be doing it on the 10th, I think, of March for our restaurant community of how they can reduce the amount of plasticware they're using and disposable items. So that saves them a lot of money because restaurants are spending a fortune on that. And plus then sanitation districts have to deal with putting all that stuff someplace. And it really adds up. It's become a significant portion of the waste stream, and it's just trash, and we don't need more trash. Glenn has plenty to deal with, and he doesn't need us to give him more, right, Glenn? So take that as a yes.
And I appreciate that.
Yes. So anyway, it's a nonprofit that runs this program. So we're looking forward to hearing from them of how, again, how businesses can save money with these programs. And then finally, the chairman has been working on a program for us to meet with the city management, with the city manager and all the department heads. So we're going to set up an event probably at the community center where we can meet with all these people and share ideas and get to know each other better, which is always a good idea. And we have a new program that we're doing with Staples. And so Staples is in town. We've had a program with Office Depot for years, and they don't even have a local facility anymore. So we said, heck with that. Let's go with somebody who's part of the family. So we have Justin Chimento here from Staples, and you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Barry, for having me in the meeting. So my name is Justin. I am the local Staples Advantage rep for the South Bay area. A lot of people think of Staples as just walking in the store. We have a commercial business side that helps support local to big corporations. The members, Carson does have a membership of the premium account. So there is a lot of tools and great savings on there that I would love to share with you offline and help support any kind of projects that the chamber has going on. Just a few things that we do with the membership. We have a proactive price protection program where we consistently check the lowest prices compared to our 3 top competitors, which would be Amazon, Office Depot, and WB Mason. So if you buy something from the membership through the membership on the website, you have a team who's consistently looking for the lowest price. So if you were to buy something for $15.99 and Amazon on that week has it for $10.99, we'll automatically credit you the difference to your account. Also, any orders over $250, you have a 3% savings right off the top, kind of similar to how Costco works, where at the end of the year they cut you a check with your savings. We credit you the account right then and there. Also, with the membership, with the premium membership, you have the ultra low pricing on paper and ink and toner, which is very expensive. So definitely much better prices than our retail site. We can help get you at the floor prices and wholesale. So anybody who's interested in, using the membership, it is available to you. All we would need to do is just set you up with a username and password and a ship to, and you have an account manager. You have me as the 911 contact. I can help place orders. I can look into better pricing. Also, the membership to the website, it's built for a one-stop shop. Facilities, break room. If you want to wrap your car in promo, you could do that. It's really just built for many different purposes. A lot of people just kind of associate Staples of just pens, paper, and ink to our retail store, but Staples Advantage is more of a one-stop shop to help, like I said, support the local businesses and corporations. All right. So if anybody has any questions, would love to reach out. There's a flyer. I love to, every business works a little bit differently. If you're looking for better prices, you can email me a list. I would love to do some price shopping for you, whatever I can do to help cut costs and consolidate from using multiple vendors.
Yeah, so we think this is particularly helpful to our smaller businesses that don't have the wherewithal to set up such a program themselves. So we've set it up for them and let them participate in our program. And so I tried to send the flyer. I can't put it through Zoom, but anyway, so you see the flyer in front of you. And also you have the advantage of having a local store here in town. So if you need it now, you can go get it now. And now is one of my favorite times. So thank you very much, Justin. We appreciate your being here with us today and
Thank you.
being a fellow chamber member. Lots of good stuff going on. So I will leave it at that, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Now, items for future discussion that we have. I have a report that I will be planning to bring to our membership and to the community and the business community. An analysis of pending development projects. There's a whole list that the city prepares. We need to look at all of those projects, estimated costs, and what's going on with those. And I have that list. It's in the office, and we'll be having a meeting on that. I'm closely working on developing meetings with representatives for March with the Holly Mitchell's office of and their economic development deputy, and also with Barry, give it to me, the other good lady.
The LAEDC.
LAEDC. Tell them what the LAEDC is.
Yeah, the LA County Economic Development Corporation. And so they are the county's, what would you say, economic development support, I will call it, for lack of a better term. And so they been offering services to the community, for the business community, for decades, and have been great folks to work with. So we certainly appreciate them.
We want to get closer to LAEDC, but higher on my priority. We want to pull Holly Mitchell into what we're trying to do in our city. Economically, economic development, things we want to do. I know we had a developer that was going to fix the part. Help us fix the road. We need to talk, you know what I'm saying? We need to talk to Holly Mitchell's economic development, get a relationship there so they can hear what the business community is saying that we need to get done. That Victoria Park area and that area over there by the golf range needs somebody's attention.
Right.
Did I hear something from Ray on that one?
You got an amen on that, right? Definitely, yeah.
Oh, you hear where I'm going? That's where I'm going on that. Also, number one, I want to get an infrastructure annual report. I don't know where we're going to do with the bike path. They keep changing. I don't know what we're going to do with a concerted effort on our infrastructure. We need to have an infrastructure annual report. I think the chamber can consolidate that and try to get that out to the business community. And the third thing is that we're planning to try to work on a Carson Connect Day, okay? And as we get further on into this year, we would like to meet on a 30-minute basis on one given day. The assistant city manager, the assistant city managers, the person who's over responsibility of the budget and finance, the city engineer. I would like to find out what the public works person is. And so we'll have representation of the chamber, board, executive board, and some mom and papas and local businesses to listen, be in that meeting on the 30-minute set. We either want to try to do it outside at the community center in that open space, open grass area, or we may want to do something at City Hall if we can allow it to come in on that, given what the conditions are. But we're trying to do that at the end of the fiscal year to try to get that going. It's called Carson Connect Day, and you'll hear more about that. That's all I have on what we're trying to do with economic development with the Carson Chamber of Commerce. I appreciate all of you attending this meeting. I'd like to end this meeting now. I know we're some busy folks, got to go do other things, but I appreciate your interest. And this project, this Clearwater project, is truly important to our community and to the whole Southern California area. Thank you for attending this meeting.
Thanks again, Glenn. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Glenn.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you.
great day.
You guys take care.